Hey guys, how you doing? My name is John and welcome to my Gamester81 channel. And in this video, this is going to be a highlight and showcase of my PAX Prime experience. This is going to be the game floor. Now for those of you who are not familiar with PAX, it's actually a gaming convention. It's held twice a year. Once in Seattle, Washington. That's usually during the August-September timeframe. The second one is called PAX East. That's in Boston, Massachusetts. And that's usually held during March-April timeframe. So it's a great gaming convention. Usually about 65,000 plus people attend this. It's very big. It's one of the biggest here in North America, as far as open to the public anyway, general public that is. But it is it's a lot of fun, and I've been to a number of them before. But just like previous years, my highlight this year was definitely hanging out with some awesome gamers and meeting up with my friends and just kind of catching up with them in person. But they have a lot of great games coming out. So without any further ado, let's take a closer look at the game floor, and then I'm going to talk about some of my experiences at PAX Prime after that. as you guys could notice, there were a lot of games and there were a lot of people. I think they should officially change the name from PAX to PACT because it was completely full. But one thing I was disappointed with this year, like I am with every previous year at PAX, is there wasn't much stuff for retail. You think having 65,000 plus people attend this convention, you think there'd be a market for people buying video games. They did have two booths though. There was one called Reset Games. They've been the previous years. This place, oh man, it's super, super expensive. As you can see me behind me, they had a good selection of games, but I'll give you an example. They had, for the NES, they had Turtles, the arcade game, Turtles 2, for the NES, and they were asking, this was open, and the label was all torn and ripped. It was in really bad shape. I think there's even initials on it. They were asking $33 for it. It was super expensive. Another example, they were asking like, I think $22 for Tetris for the NES Open. I mean, it was super expensive, almost insultingly expensive. And I didn't end up buying games because knowing how much games are worth and how much they should sell for, I didn't want to really support that. And they also had modern games too. And the modern games are selling for $65 when it really should retail for about $60. So obviously they're in a confined space. They were definitely taking advantage of the gamers there. They also had a place, it was called Pink Gorilla. Now this place is awesome. As you can see behind me, there's a lot of import games. And this place is a lot more reasonably priced. I mean, they had games for the Mega Drive, they had games for Dreamcast, a lot of import games, a lot of rarities. And if you guys like soundtracks, this was definitely your place because they had gaming soundtracks, a ton of them. They had a little nice case with a whole bunch of rare games. They had it really displayed nicely. I guess they have a couple locations in Seattle, Pink Gorilla. I've yet to see that in person, but it's definitely a place I do want to check out. Now, as far as games go, I did play a few games. I didn't play a bunch because, to be honest with you, being so many people, a lot of the games lines were super long. For example, Battlefield 3. That's obviously a lot of people wanted to play that. You're looking at close to 3-hour wait just to play a demo of the game, and it's something, a game like that's coming out soon anyway. I really didn't want to waste my time when I could have been doing other things, but I did play other games. I'll give you an example. I played that Jurassic Park game that's coming out soon. That was a really interesting game. If you like Dragon's Lair, it kind of played a lot like that. It wasn't necessarily where you move the character around, but you had to push buttons at certain times, almost like Heavy Rain, if you're familiar with that game, where you have to push A at a certain time and you do something. If you don't, the whole outcome of the game changes. Graphics were decent. I think they could have done a better job with the graphics, especially with games like LA Noire. I think they set the standard as far as the table goes for facial features and stuff like that. So I think it seemed kind of dated, the graphics, but I'm a big fan of Jurassic Park. I'm definitely looking forward to this game, and it's interesting because if you do one move, it can totally change the outcome of the rest of the game. So every time you play, it can change the whole dynamic, which is kind of an interesting thing. Another game I really liked, probably my favorite game on the show, which I really liked, was Retro City Rampage. That's an independent game coming out. It's going to be a DLC. It's 8-bit graphics, but they have a lot of old school references in it from the 80s and 90s, not only video games, but movies. And it's almost like a Grand Theft Auto top-down with meets Nintendo. So it's I talked to the developer. We're going to get him on the Allgengamers podcast, which is my podcast if you're familiar with. And really super cool guys. They're from Canada. And that was probably one of my favorite things to see at the show. They had a really cool display cabinet too. You built a custom cabinet, like old school arcade. That was really neat to see. I also visited the Nintendo booth. They had a lot of 3DS games. I played the new Mario Kart 7 coming out for the 3DS. The 3D on that wasn't it didn't really capture me as far as the graphics were great, don't get me wrong, and it's a typical Mario Kart game, but it wasn't like pop out of the screen 3D. I was expecting a little bit better. I also visited the Nintendo booth. They had a lot of 3DS games. I played the new Mario Kart 7 coming out for the 3DS. The 3D on that wasn't it didn't really capture me as far as the graphics were great, don't get me wrong, and it's a typical Mario Kart game, but it wasn't like pop out of the screen 3D. I was expecting a little bit better. I also get a chance to play the new Super Mario Brothers 3D for the 3DS, and that seemed kind of cool too. I was expecting more a linear kind of side-scroller Mario game, where the demo I played was very interesting because it was almost like a Super Mario 64. You actually can go more deep inside. It's more of a 3D gaming. I was expecting more of a platformer, but still it's a Mario game. I expect it to do very well for the 3DS. There's finally some good games coming out for the system. It's about time. I also checked out Microsoft's booth. They were obviously promoting the Kinect heavily. I played a game, it was like Disney Adventures coming out. That is interesting because you can actually go to the different park, and the one demo I played, you're actually flying around in Peter Pan. There's different parks. It's definitely kids friendly. The controls were pretty decent on it from what I played. I also checked out the new Star Wars Kinect. Being a huge Star Wars fan, I'm looking forward to this game. The demo I played was there was a pod race scene where you should control the pod racer like this. The controls were not that great, to be honest with you. It lagged. You turn left and it took us half a second for it to actually catch. By that time you're crashing into a rock. There's so much going on. I think they need to really work on the controls. I'm really worried about that, but I think the concept is cool. I am excited for the new Star Wars Kinect bundle, the limited edition one coming out. That's going to be cool. I don't know. We'll see if I end up getting it day one. Being a big Star Wars fan and being a big gamer, I probably will. Also visited Sony's booth in the area, and obviously they were promoting Uncharted 3 was the big one that they're promoting. They had the multiplayer demo on. That was a really long line. I didn't get a chance to play that, but from what I saw, the graphics looked great. I talked to some people. They really did enjoy it. They also had a new Twisted Metal coming out, and that looked interesting. That's another game I didn't really have time to play, but from the graphics and being a big fan of the old Twisted Metal series, it's been a long time. I'm very excited for that game to come out. Anyway, guys, that is my experience at PAX Prime 2011 up in Seattle, Washington. I appreciate you guys watching. I appreciate you guys subscribing, and I appreciate you guys commenting. We'll see you guys soon. Take care.